All right, that was I by Kendrick Lamar. I guess we're gonna start talking about sports right now.
Yep. Let's get into sports.
First off, the World Series
World Series.
finished last week.
Did.
The Giants won in 7 games.
Disappointed about that, but
I am disappointed too. I was hoping the Royals would win.
with in term for the San Francisco, this is their third championship in what 4 or 5 years.
Believe it's 5 years. Brian Bumgarner closed the game, I think, from the 5th inning on.
Yeah, Madison Bumgarner definitely did.
Brian, no, Madison, not Brian.
Yeah, he shut it out, and definitely I think Giants been bolstered by that pitching. I really wanted the Royals to win. This is the first time making it to the World Series in a real long time.
Yeah.
That team got hot at the right time, but the Giants proved that regular season doesn't really matter how you do in the regular season; it just matters how you do in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of whether this Giants team could be considered a dynasty. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It's difficult to say because at the end of the day they had the hardware. They have what so many teams and players covet. Teams and players go their whole careers, without seeing what the Giants have seen in 5 years. But I think to claim that a team's been a dynasty, I think they really have to dominate regular season and postseason.
I think the years they didn't win the World Series, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, can you consider that a dynasty?
No, I don't think they're a dynasty.
Maybe if they had 5 straight World Series appearances and they won 3,
then without a doubt.
Yeah, but none of those also are back to back. It's every other year. So, people have their different standards for a dynasty. I don't think I consider this Giants team a dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't even think of the last team that has been a dynasty like this.
I think the Yankees probably.
The Yankees in the 90s, the late 90s, definitely. Possibly even the Lakers in the Shaq and Kobe era, although that kind of ended early, but they were able to have a three-peat.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to divulge too much into that, but yeah, I think that with that situation, it was definitely more the players not meshing well after 3 years, but it is what it is. Speaking of the Lakers, smooth transition. Julius, the season for the Lakers started this week, and
their record is currently 0-4.
Like I said, win-loss records are just arbitrary.
If they're not arbitrary, if that's how you get into the playoffs.
No, there's a selection committee. Yeah, but all jokes aside, Julius Randle, their top draft pick, number 7 pick in the 2013-2014 draft, goes out for the year.
Yes.
With a broken fibula.
Yes.
So he's done. And it's a point a lot of basketball fans. Obviously, I was a Laker fan. Super disappointed. Happens on the first game. Probably, I think it happened in second, third quarter. It's such a shame to see a player of his talent. He didn't even really get a chance to shine. He was great in college. And now we really can't see how he'll be able to do this season. But
yeah, he'll return next year. It's a shame. It happened in the first game. We never got to see his real potential this year in his rookie season. I'm really bummed out for him.
Without a doubt, but I think he'll have to recover. It's gonna be tough on him mentally. Hopefully, he doesn't let that stagger him.
Yeah, Kobe's still saying that he bleeds purple and gold, that he's not leaving. I feel like reporters keep asking, "Oh, is it frustrating that you're 0-4? Is that what you consider leaving at this point? Did you it's Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has been vocal his whole career about being a Laker.
Without a doubt.
Why is it news that he's saying that he's staying and that he doesn't even desire a trade? I knew that. I knew if they were 0-11, he wouldn't want to trade. He'd think about how to fix the organization rather than leaving the organization.
Definitely, I think he's been in this organization his entire career. And I think he's definitely, like you said, he's been vocal about it, and he has really no reason to do otherwise.
Yeah.
And, just moving on, speaking of Kobe and Dwight Howard potentially started a new beef.
Yeah. That's cool. Former teammates. It's another Shaq and Kobe. Kobe calls called Dwight Soft.
Yeah, he definitely that, and he also used a lot of other choice words.
There's
Um,
probably bitterness that Dwight left, I think.
Without a doubt. But I think that at the end of the day, part of it's bitterness, a little bit is just competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I remember that after Dwight left the Lakers, Kobe unfollowed him on Twitter, so everyone was going crazy about that. But I don't think there's anything huge here.
Nah, neither do I. Um, you know, speaking of injuries, we talked about Julius Randle. The Thunder lost Kevin Durant before the season even started, and now they've lost Russell Westbrook to injury, fractured hand. He got surgery. He's set to be out for at least 4 weeks.
And so it sucks for the Thunder right now,
Yeah.
losing two of their biggest stars. This is a team that really expected to have a good hold on in the West. The West is so strong, but they're
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of injuries. It happens to every team. Just so
Yeah.
happens to happen to like two of the biggest stars in the league.
um, with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant injured, they won. They did win their last game, with Serge Ibaka just kind of taking over. I think he had 23 points.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, will this Thunder team see success? They have Kevin Durant injured, Russell Westbrook injured, Jeremy Lamb injured, and Reggie Jackson injured. Where does their playoff stock fall to?
It's tough to say because if they are playing in the West.
Mm-hmm.
West. If they were playing the East, they'd still have a shot. But the fact of the matter is that the West is the strongest conference. Top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's going to be tough to say. Well, maybe Durant and Westbrook, once they come back from injury, can salvage what they can for the season.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, it's difficult to say.
Um,
I think that they potentially either fall out of the playoffs if these injuries occur.
mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they'll be out that long where they can't manage something.
I believe they'll be out for at least the first 20 games of the season. I think they have the potential when they come back to be 6th, 7th, or 8th. I don't want to count them out of the playoffs. But yeah, I think that's where they stand. They stand in a very awkward position. But if they're the 8th seed, they could be the best 8th seed of all time. Although I hope they aren't 8th seed. I hope they're more like 7th or 6th. Because I fear that they might be going against San Antonio in round 1. That's something I really don't want.
But if they beat San Antonio, there won't be anyone else to stand in the way.
But I would say that. However, I think the Clippers are really gonna be
They are making
pretty
a name
deadly
for
this
themselves.
year.
They're making a name for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. But we'll see as the time goes on. But
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think that 6th, 7th, 8th is realistic at this point.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson. We're talking about the Thunder. Reggie Jackson is going to pursue a starting job on another team when he becomes a free agent.
Yeah.
You look at the San Antonio Spurs, and they just care about winning. Popovich talks about how he ruined their careers and their statistics because he plays them sometimes for like 28 minutes. Because they're winning, and why play them? He wants to rest his players. Manu Ginobili has never complained about coming off the bench. He's always done what it takes to win, and he's won titles because of that.
Yeah.
With guys like Reggie Jackson, you look at J.R. Smith, these guys just, it seems like sometimes people care more about money or the starting rotation than the championship.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think at this time it's really about money too.
Yeah.
And just at making the bottom line.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I mean, it'll be sad to see Reggie Jackson go, but if he wants to go start for the Utah Jazz, then he can be my guest.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. And do you think he's a good fit there?
I don't know where he's a good fit. He might end up somewhere like Detroit or something. Or even Indiana. Someone who's in desperate need of somebody.
Without a doubt. But I think how do you rank him in terms of
Reggie Jackson?
Yeah.
He's a great young player, but He's not on par with other guys. He's like Eric Bledsoe's a young guy who just pursued a max contract. I think Eric Bledsoe is more talented than he is. Um, I don't know. I just don't. I think he should stay. I think that would be. I think he can be a good second unit guy.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I think he definitely has a second unit skill set
I think he could be exposed if he tries to be a starter.
without a doubt, and I think he doesn't really know what he's getting into.
No.
So we have Darren Williams feels people have written him off.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Um, I think I agree with him.
Yeah, definitely.
People have been writing him off since last season in the off season. He's I understand he's been a guy that's been hit with injury. So I understand why people are saying that about him, but he's also a guy who's been really great in his career, which is why I kind of see his side of it. But just to read his numbers, he's 1 for 8 this season in 2 games from the 3 point line. He's had 17 points per game, about 7 assists per game in just 2 games. But he's not wowing us. You know,
Yeah, it's only 2 games in though.
he's gonna get into the groove, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to admit that I'm writing him off still.
Yeah.
I don't think the Nets are going to be anything special this year. I think there was a lot of hype last year, but that kind of collapsed when they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think with Darren Williams, this isn't like 2 3 years ago. 2 3 years ago, he's probably one of the best, if not the best, point guards in the league. In terms of putting him 20 and 10 a night, he's probably like
Mhm.
top 5 point guards. And to
Mhm.
see where he is now, obviously been boggled by injuries and underperformance. But I think that we have people have written off him, but he's done it to himself.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with him. If we look at the extensions, a lot of extensions happened in the last week. First off, the Bronxite Kemba Walker signed the contract. It's about 4 years. 4 years, $48 million. So it's about 12 years, $12 million a year. I think that's fair. I think it was easier to get him to sign more than it was easy to get guys like Klay Thompson, Ricky Rubio, um, and Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and
Jim,
all those guys I think made more, except probably Jimmy.
yeah. No, Jimmy hasn't signed it yet, but he vows that he's gonna stay with the Bulls. I think he was seeking upward of 12 million a year.
Yeah.
Um, Ricky Rubio's getting paid more than Kemba Walker, which is obscene to me. That's absolutely obscene. Ricky Rubio is one of the most disappointing players to come out in the last few years because he was so overhyped.
Yeah, and I think with Kemba Walker, he's a hard-working player.
Yeah.
Very hard-working player, tough
Mhm.
player, and I think he doesn't really get a lot of credit.
Mhm.
And I think he's only getting better as years goes on.
Yeah. I think it's really disappointing to see Ricky Rubio getting paid more, or Jimmy Butler looking to get paid more than Kemba Walker when I think Kemba Walker's better than both of them.
Without a doubt.
But if we look at Klay Thompson is doing a 4 year deal, 4 year 4 year deal for 70 million. So it's about 17.5 million a year. Is that too much?
I don't know. I think it's difficult to say because I think that if they lose Klay Thompson, they'll lose a vital piece of that offense, and how that offense really runs through the Splash Brothers and Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. But I think it is a little too much. I think even though I think he's growing into one of a better shooting guard, but
Mhm.
I think at this point in time,
Yeah.
it's a little too much.
I probably would have went 16 for him, but um, we'll see. I like Kemba's deal. I like Charlotte a lot right now. With Kemba Walker, Lance Stevenson, Michael Kidd Gilchrist. You have Al Jefferson. They're a team I like. I like their makeover.
Yeah.
I like how Charlotte looks right now.
Without a doubt. And speaking of Charlotte, Michael Jordan said that if Lance Stevenson acts up, Michael Jordan is ready to act as a parent.
Yes. Um, I think that was a funny thing to say, but I feel like Lance Stevenson will listen to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the greatest to play the game. So if he's not your mentor, if you have the opportunity to have Michael Jordan as your mentor and you don't take it, I think you don't belong in this league.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think Michael Jordan's probably arguably one of the best players in the league. With his advice, he obviously knows a lot about the game's ins and outs of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that Lance Stevens can benefit from anything at this point.
Yeah. It's still early. We see the Heat without LeBron are playing well. Chris Bosh is playing especially well so far this year. His last game he had 30 points.
Yeah, I was watching the game. I think that Heat team does not look that bad.
No, they are 3-0 right now.
That Heat team does not look bad. They're meshing well post LeBron.
Yes. Can Spoelstra win without LeBron though? Can he win a championship without LeBron?
I don't think any team can win a championship without a superstar.
And it seems like Chris Bosh could be emerging as their superstar.
It's tough. It's really going to come down to how well they play defense. But I think they'll definitely make it strong presence in the playoffs. But to win a championship, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
If they couldn't beat the Spurs with LeBron, who said they can beat them without?
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point that I didn't think of. I honestly didn't even think the finals. I was just thinking the conference when the question was really can they win the championship. If this Cleveland team doesn't mesh well, which I think it will eventually, it's getting there. They beat the Bulls the other day in overtime. I think they have the potential to be number one if the Bulls aren't. And Miami could probably be number 3. That's what before the season started, I was guessing that Miami was going to be number 3 in the conference.
Yeah, and I think that it's really if they continue to play well, it's definitely an achievable goal.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt.
And I think we have a couple minutes left. We could just focus on the Cavs a little bit right now. First off, the Cavaliers have the most expensive average ticket price this year with $218.
That's absurd.
Wow.
That is absurd.
That's more than the Knicks. The Knicks are notorious for being the most expensive team to watch. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's the LeBron effect, definitely.
Yeah, and they will make their money.
They will, without a doubt, make their money. And LeBron, obviously, his brand is growing. We talked about this last week. His brand is obviously growing wherever he goes. It's bound to make money.
Yeah. I mean, if you just watch a game last week, I saw so many LeBron commercials.
Yeah.
It was actually really crazy. He's in everything from McDonald's to Kia to Beats to Gatorade to Nike. I mean, this guy is all over the place.
He's a hard worker. He's definitely a hard worker.
I think he deserves it.
Without a doubt, he deserves it. And, more power to him. He's getting his name brand out there.
I actually find it interesting that Ray Allen hasn't picked a team yet. If he will play, and I think he will play, and I think he's going to join the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I think it's in his best interest to join the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's become the spot to go if you're a free agent. You really want to go to Cavaliers if you want
just
a championship.
Just like Miami
was. Except the fact that Cleveland, Ohio isn't Miami, Florida. Mm-hmm. In terms of just living there outside of basketball, but I think he'll eventually own up and go to Cleveland because he knows that he works well with LeBron and he's won a championship with him, so I think that bond can continue to grow.
The Cavaliers will continue to be exciting this season. They lost their opening game to the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
The New York Knicks defied basketball and all the odds.
That was absurd.
The Knicks won. They spoiled LeBron's homecoming, which was was amusing to me as a Knicks fan. I didn't think they were gonna win, and that whole game when I saw them, they were still in the game. I was just really excited, and I actually believed.
You gotta believe.
One thing that was interesting though that the Knicks abandoned triangle offense.
What do you know what the reasoning behind that is?
Melo had a hot hand at some point, so they gave him a lot of ISO plays. I think they were just like it's a new offense, so they were kind of just nervous and afraid. And when it didn't work, I think they would just give it to Melo. You know what I mean? Like they were just afraid of losing,
Yeah, I think it's definitely safer. That's the options that they've been running before.
especially after the night before when they got beat by the Bulls by 24.
Exactly, and I think that with the triangle offense, Derek Fisher obviously played on the triangle offense. He knows what it's about, but he's not Phil Jackson. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he didn't lead a team throughout with a triangle offense to championship.
Yeah, Derek Fisher right now, what's interesting, I was observing last night, is he does frequent substitutions to see who works well together. And the Knicks did win last night against the Charlotte Hornets by 3 points. I think it could have been more if Samuel Dallenberg didn't get into foul trouble.
Without a doubt.
But the Knicks have promise. I think it's very early in these first three games, though. People are actually starting to kind of root for them and see things coming together, and they're actually liking what they see.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And Derek Fisher's just wearing like the best suits.
He's a well dressed man. I've had a chance to meet Derek Fisher. He's a very clean guy, clean cut guy.
Yeah. Again, I'm really excited about this season. I'm really excited for. Probably would be a little more exciting if we didn't have some of the injuries that we have, including Durant, Westbrook, Julius Randle. But it's still exciting.
Definitely still exciting.
So you got anything else to?
We're talking. We can go a little further.
A little further?
Yeah, because we got a little time extension.
Okay.
Just to talk about football real quick.
Okay.
So did you watch any games this week?
I was caught the second half of the Broncos and the Patriots last night.
So yeah, let's talk about the Broncos and the Patriots. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Definitely probably hyped up as probably one of the bigger matchups of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Brady came out on top. Peyton, I was watching the first half. Took a little time to get in the groove.
Yeah.
But that Patriots offense was chugging.
The Patriots they had a very rough start in the beginning of the season, but they have just been absolutely terrific since then.
Without a doubt. And yeah, it's funny how earlier this season there were claims that is Brady too old? He's getting washed up. He's missing a lot of passes, but there was none of that last night.
No. Just to note, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning last night, that was their 16th time playing each other, and Tom Brady has won 11 out of the 16 times.
Yeah, he's definitely dominated that matchup. He's definitely probably one of the better players in the league. He might have an MVP type season, but it's definitely one that was to watch for.
Who do you think is better, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning?
Are we talking all time, or are we talking?
We could talk right now.
As of right now, that's a difficult question.
Very difficult question.
You know what? I'm taking Tom Brady.
I think I'm gonna go Tom Brady, especially after last night. I think a couple people, kind of got knocked into reality and kind of saw that wow, Tom Brady is probably better than Peyton Manning.
But and Tom Brady has a lot of tools. He knows how to utilize them. So
yeah,
without a doubt.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up now.
Yep. This has been the discussion board. I'm your host, Antonello Velez,
alongside Chris Gomez,
and we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.